Why are pirates pirates? Because we are. Okay, it's about the worst joke ever. Maybe I should stick to maths and not drama. But the hardest thing in the sine and the cos rule questions that we do is trying to decide which one it is. And that's why I've invented the skull and crossbones, hence pirate maths. Here I've written out the sine rule and the cos rule. These rules are both on your formula sheet that you get given. The sine rule version with the sides on top is given to you. This one's just the reciprocal function of that, so you can create that anytime. That one's not. But both versions of the cos rule, which are just algebra rearrangements of themselves, are on your formula sheet. So you don't need to learn the rules, you just need to learn how to use them. They're used to help us find unknowns in triangles that don't have right angles, because if it had a right angle, we would just use SOHCAHTOA. There are 4 parts: A, little a, little b, big B, in either of these versions of the sine rule. So it's from here to here and here and here. In the rule on the formula sheet, it goes equals C on sine C. The ratio is the same again this way, saying it doesn't matter which pair, the ratio of side on sine angle will match. So what happens is if you have 3 numbers and 1 unknown, but they sit in this format, you can put the unknown in. I usually like putting the unknown in the position for A, or capital A if it's an angle. And then I can fill in the rest of the rule and find out what I need to know. One thing that's very important here is the triangles for these A's, B's and C's. When, as per naming convention, capitals represent corners and lowercase represent sides, and the lowercase side is always opposite the uppercase angle. So there's my crossbones, and if it's the cos rule, the components that I've got in the rule are all the littles, so little a, little b, little c, and capital C. So if I've got this one, this one, this one, and this one together, then if that configuration occurs, what I have is the skull. Arr. Now, the trick with the cos rule is that you can use it to find the nose or the mouth or the teeth, because you can make little c the subject or big C the subject. A and B have to be numbers, so what I like to say is that he's got to be able to see. On another note, when we go to the sine rule, all you need to know to make the sine rule work is that one of your bones is complete numbers. So if you can create a crossbone that has a number here and a number here, doesn't matter which one of these is your unknown, it's going to work. Let's do some examples. So what I do is I look for either a bone or a skull. In this one, the easiest thing to check for would be bones. Is there a known bone? Yes. If I've got a known bone, it's definitely going to be a sine rule question. Here, can I draw? There's one bone, but it's not a known bone. So I can't draw a bone. I'm going to try drawing a skull. Now, when I do a skull, there'll only ever be one angle, and that'll be in the nose position. So my skull will work if I draw it like this. And yes, it can see. Definitely a cos rule question. Over here, I can't draw a bone, a known bone, so I could draw a skull again. Nose is here, so it's going to have to go this way. And down here, if these are the eyes, skull's obviously not going to work, but I do have a known bone, so sine rule question. If you want to have a pause and answer those, it's just the algebra of answering them. Otherwise, answers or solutions I'll do now. Put some new questions up here for you to have a go at just identifying if it's sine rule or cos rule. So pause the video now. Okay, let's do this. I have a bone here. Another bone, sine rule. I have no bones, but a skull, cos rule. I have a bone, but I don't have another bone. But if you use angle sum of a triangle, you could fill this in. Oh, 40, 50, that's 90, so that's actually a right angled triangle. We can still use the skull in this, the crossbones in this situation, or we could redraw it and consider putting X here, 40 here, 26, and going for sine on its own if you wanted. Over here, skull. All right, I'll go back to the first one and show you how to solve these. Once I've identified its sine rule, then I've got to decide whether I want to find an angle or a side. This time I want to find a side. So I'm going to use the sine rule in the version with the sides on top. It just makes it faster to solve. If I always put my unknown in the very top, I can go x on sine other side of bone equals, and then follow the other bone with the side on top because I decided to do sides on top. The other sine rule question will work the same way. I had that one down here. So theta is on top, so I'm going to go the sine of theta on 16 equals the sine of 42 on 12. Solve that. If I'm doing cos rule, I've got to look at one of those rules. I've got to go, okay, I want the teeth. Now this long one here, didn't show you the formula, it'd help, wouldn't it? This long one here I picture as the teeth of the pirate. I should stop making that sound. And this one is the nose rule. I kind of see this big C here as like the nose, like, you know, here's my little dude and there's his eyes and grumpy eyes and big nose and mouth. Okay, terrible artist as well. Anyway, want x. Going to put it into this version because it's the unknown side, which is C, making this my capital C, and these guys my A and B for my eyes. So x squared equals 20 squared plus 14 squared minus 2 by 20 by 14 times the new line because I ran out of room, cos of 36. I'd put that in the calculator and keep going from there. This one up here, it's the nose rule. So cos of the angle equals A and B are going to be either side, the eyes. So 13 squared plus 15.4 squared minus 14 squared on 2 by 13 by 15.4. If you want to then go and solve these guys, because we've set them up nicely with this one, all you've got to do is times up the sine 40 and we'd get x equals 9 sine 40 on sine 70. This one, we times up the 16 and then we inverse sine. So theta would be the inverse sine of 16 times sine 42 on 12. This one, you calculate that and then you inverse cos it. And this one, you calculate that and then you square root it. I'll bring you back your questions for your turn. See if you can come up with some answers. Here you go. So pause the video. All right, here goes. I'm going to put it on fast speed. So we put the theta on top because that's the unknown that we're aiming for, times the 10 up, inverse sine, the answer that we got. This one we're putting x out the front because it's the cos rule version for the teeth. We're going to calculate that and then square root it. Here we're putting theta, the cos theta at the front for the cos rule for the nose. In this one, if we build it using the sine rule, it looks like that, yet the sine of 90 is 1, so it's just goes away. There you go. I didn't want to make you sit through me using the calculator, so here are the answers highlighted. All right, have a good one. Happy pirate maths.